Hello and welcome to Brown Sugar Confessions. We're here today with all of our lovely co-hosts. Unfortunately, Dr. Val is not in with us today, but we're hoping that she may call in. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. We'll see how it goes. But I'd like to start off with asking all the lovely co-hosts how they're doing. KD, how are you doing this lovely Wednesday evening?
Hello, everyone out in Radio Land. I'm doing absolutely fabulous. I am really sad because we are down to the last, 2 weeks before we're back into the fall season, pretty much. So, just trying to enjoy the rest of my summer, getting ready for the school year to start. And, that's about it. Just working. How about you, ladies?
How are you doing, Jenny C?
I'm doing great. I'm already ready for Halloween. It's Breast Cancer Awareness Month, which is my favorite. But also, I started playing with my wigs. You can see my orange wig in the Patreon. If you join us, you can see me playing around with that behind the scenes.
That orange wig is fire. She reminds me of Starfire. Go
Yeah.
check it out. How are you doing, Miss T?
Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed because I wanted Jenny to keep the orange wig on, but hey, I'm in Atlanta still. We just came through from the tropical storm that came up a couple days ago. We're still trying to survive. Side note, there's a serial killer in downtown Atlanta. We'll get on that later on.
Yeah, I just heard about that.
Yeah, it's getting real out here. So if you live in the ATL and you are hearing this, please be safe. Yes. Travel in groups and try not to be out too late at night.
Yes, please take care of yourself. I'm up in upstate New York, just chilling, getting ready for school, relaxing, getting ready for a move. But I'm hoping everyone out there in Radio Land is doing well and taking care of yourselves. So we're going to get into it. We're going to talk about Cardi B and Lizzo's new song. What do you ladies think?
I love that song. I love that song. That song was great. I felt every bit of it. I can understand why people have some flack about it, but I think that flack is unjustified. That's just me personally.
I agree. I totally agree. What do you think, Jenny C?
I'm so grateful that we have an audience, I'm so grateful that we have a platform to talk about it on Power 1017 because I just love having this opportunity to have a voice about this. I love Lizzo because she's not afraid to be herself. And it broke my heart when she did that live post about her feelings. But what I love about it is that she bounced right back. She's already twerking and fluting and just telling people to, go ahead and leave a comment on my video because every time you watch it, I'm still making money.
Monetized.
Still monetizing it. So
I completely agree. What do you think, KD?
Well, I absolutely love Lizzo. I love that. What I especially love about her, because I know we have had artists before that were plus size, but what I love about her is the fact that she makes sure that she also gets other people seen too. So it's really lovely to see dancers of all different shapes and sizes. Or actually, no, most of the time these are big ladies, and these are women that are great dancers a lot of times. Beautiful women that often get overlooked in the entertainment industry, and it's really wonderful to see something different. You know what I mean? Even someone my size don't make it to the entertainment world. Like, you have to be small, you have to be very, very thin framed. It's like no in between. There's no like middle size. You just need to be small. So it's really nice that in addition to sharing music that really speaks to things for women of all different lifestyles and sizes, she also brings visualizations that actually matches it. And it gives me hope. It gives me hope as someone who struggles with my own self-image. So I absolutely love Lizzo. And I like her music. So I'm really excited about this new song.
One thing I do say I like about Lizzo, I'm gonna jump in real quick. They make her look good. And this is one of the things that I don't like about how they do bigger entertainment stars, whether they're acting or singers or whatever, is that they make them look frumpy.
Yes.
And I absolutely cannot stand it. Like, y'all got all this money circling around Hollywood and y'all can't make nobody look good that might be bigger than a size 10. Like, make it make sense to me. And I'm glad whoever's designing Lizzo's stuff, I love it. Please keep doing it.
I have to say, as somebody who loves designing, I love the way she dresses. I really do. They don't put her in the typical, I don't know if you know this, but when you're plus size, they tend to go for a typical way to dress you. It's pinup. If you're curvy, they tend to put you in pinup gear to make you seem, quote unquote, more voluptuous and more womanly, as if you're not a woman already. It's really weird logic. They will put you in pin tucked tight shirts and skirts, and it's there you go. That's literally how they dress you.
Huh.
But I love how she dresses. I love her message, is what I'm going to really tell you. It, for me, when I listen to her song, it is always, I know you think you're going to think whatever you want to think about me. You're going to think, well, she's big, so she shouldn't be happy. She should be miserable. Well, I'm here to tell you that you can be miserable. I'm going to be happy. I'm still going to have my dreams, still going to have my fantasies, and I'm going to keep going, and I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And of course, there's going to be moments when I'm going to cry, because I'm a human being.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a human being. But as someone that is raising 2 women children, it's nice to see that. It's encouraging. I know growing up, you had to look a certain way. Very, remember In Vogue, all the same shade, all the same height, all the same skinny.
Yep.
It was all the same. And if you did not fit that, you were out.
Same thing with the Rockettes.
Yeah. I mean, Rockettes, what did Biggie Smalls used to say? He used to talk so much mess about other girl groups because they had bigger members and were darker, and he would call them the manly girl group.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
We all remember those songs. Let's not pretend. But that's how I feel about that. What's our next topic? We're going to go into something a little serious. Trigger warning that we're going to be talking about minors and alleged sexual assault. So let's get into it. We're going to talk about Brother Polight. Does anybody know his real name?
It was Michael Novak. Let me double check that real quick.
Like that.
Michael Noack Jr.
Noack. I cannot.
Noak. Noack.
Don't ask me to say that. I will mess it up.
You can call on me. I got you.
So here's the alleged story, air quotation marks behind that. He was with an adult woman. He had a relationship with the adult woman, ended up hanging out with her 14-year-old daughter. When the club was closed, they went to a hotel room. He gave her alcohol at 14. And as the alcohol flowed and she became inebriated, he started touching her, getting suggestive with her. I do understand that DNA has come into play now, right?
Yeah.
Like it, yeah.
I'm gonna say I'm glad that the community knows about this, and the only thing I'm gonna say is protect our children at all costs. I don't care who it is. You protect your children. That's the end of it. What do you think, Jenny C?
I'm a mom. I'm old school. You touch my kid, you die. I mean, I'm sorry. It my heart aches more for the circus that's evolving, and I just want to make sure that child is safe and they're taking care of her trauma. Whatever is going on with the parent, the adults, the mom, the man who's guilty of this act, I really hope that child is being taken care of. That poor child. She's a child, a baby. And this type of trauma, it is lifelong trauma that she really needs help now. It can scar you forever. So for me, I'm just worried about that because he's an adult figure. They trust as adults to keep them safe.
Yeah. What do you think, Miss T?
I don't want to be a victim blamer. By victim blamer, I don't want to blame the mother because clearly she was in a relationship with him or some form of a relationship. I don't know what. But I guess this stems from my own mother. My own mother was very protective because she herself, unfortunately, had been molested as a child. So she did everything in her power to make sure that didn't happen to me. So if we had, doesn't matter, uncles, guess if it was a male that was older, like her age in the house, if it was time for me to go to bed, lock your door. So my thing for this girl is, why didn't her mother have that same thing, that same kind of notion to protect her daughter the same way? Why did she think it was okay to just let him take her, one, to a party where it didn't sound like there was going to be any other children her age around? And then once there was no party, why didn't he bring her back home? There was no contingency plan. She could have been like, hey, if something happens, bring her home. And that didn't happen. And why didn't that happen? Because it literally made her available to him because this little girl had nowhere to go. Yeah. And that bothers me. That bothers me more than anything. And then on top of that, this is supposed to be somebody who is a leader in the conscious community. What does that say about the conscious community then?
And with that, you know, I'm going to Miss Katie over here. I want to know.
All right. So we already know how I feel about this. I'm really absolutely hate men like that, and I'm not even going to have to go into that. But I want to discuss the context here because I think there's a lot of missing context in terms of what happened that night. But I can't speak on that because I don't know. But I think there's a lot of context that we need to understand about the conscious community because he is kind of he is a major player in the conscious community, in the online conscious community, and being someone who people are coming from all over the country here in the Black community. People are watching him. People are paying for his lectures. People are joining his lectures. This is someone that speaks a lot to the general public. Additionally, there's a major problem, and I'm sorry if I'm gonna have a whole lot of my conscious friends mad at me, but there's a huge problem with the conscious community and men womanizing and trying to get with young women. So in the conscious community, a lot of times in the male side of it, they believe that, you know, it's perfectly okay for men to be with younger women, to have multiple women, and it creates a really toxic environment for the women. And I've known a lot of women who've been married to men in this community or dated men in this community, and there's a lot of abuse that happens because these women get brainwashed. They have these so-called stars like your brother Polight that end up kind of having this cult of personality thing going on, where because they're worshipped, these women do anything to get under their graces and to be one of their wives. And a lot of times it creates a very kind of brainwashed mentality. And I think that's what's happening here. He probably had a woman that was unfortunately sacrificed her own child for the sake of being with this man and being one of his, you know, who knows how many wives and women that he had under him. We all know that he had multitudes. So I feel like this definitely speaks to some of the problems within the conscious community. I'm not surprised. And we're going to see more of this because there's more of them there. He's not the only one. So there needs to be some evaluations in there. And hopefully this kind of begins to really create some of these hard conversations that needs to happen within the Black conscious community.
Do we have a caller? We have a caller. Who is this
caller?
Who this 302 number? Unmute yourself.
Unmute yourself and say
Identify
hello.
yourself.
Surprise caller.
Hi, I have a question for Brown Sugar Confession.
What's your question? State yourself.
Hey, Brown Sugar Confessions, how are you guys?
Is that Dr. Val?
It is Dr. Val, fresh off the plane from Las Vegas. Y'all know I'm tired, right?
Hey.
Hey, out there on Power 101.7. How's everybody going? How's it going out there?
Good. We are excellent,
Good,
Dr.
we're
Val.
missing you.
We are missing you.
I miss you guys so much. I think everyone knows I've been traveling quite a bit, but I'm home now, thank God, and ready to get back into this. So what did I miss? What are we talking about tonight? You can tell I'm not even sure what's going on, girls.
Well, do we want to put Dr. Val in for our current topic?
Yeah, because
yeah.
why don't you join us for the topic we were just about to get into?
Yes, let's do it.
Ooh.
We're starting
I'm ready.
right now.
So the current
ready.
topic is OnlyFans now getting rid of any kind of sexual material on their website. They're taking it away as of, I believe it's October of this year.
Really?
Yes. After making billions off of sex workers, now they're turning their backs on them.
So how
went
much
corporate.
intervention has the government played into that?
It wasn't the government. You know
They
what it
went
is?
corporate.
You know what it is, Dr.
What?
Val? If you had to guess, what would you think would be a motivating factor for a company to flip?
Not pressure from the government because they're taking money from sex workers.
Not the government.
See, that's where I'm going. What?
What's
From
the
wine?
other
What's
big?
the other motivating factor?
Who got the most money outside the government?
White people.
I'm brain dead. Tell me. I'm brain dead.
They are looking for advertising money and they are looking for money from so the banks that they will
Corporate.
not support them if they have certain kinds of sexual content on their website.
Are you serious? So not government, but corporate America, the bank.
Corporate America, because they are about to go mainstream and get all the sponsorship and they want it. So in order for them to do that, they got to sell out.
Yep, they went corporate.
Wow. This is always the case. And it stigmatizes people that are doing sex work. It always comes back to the shame and trying to make a lot of guilt, and then you take money off of them on top of it. It's so wrong in so many levels. So when is this going to take place?
October 1st.
Oh my God, this is horrible. So what are the sex workers saying they're going to do? Is there any remedies they can have?
Dr. Val, I don't think they know yet. They are trying to figure this out, I think, as we speak. But I don't think this is going to work out well for OnlyFans. I don't know how to respond to that. It's not going to work out well for them. This is what made them who they are. No one's going to want to go to OnlyFans to watch people do cooking shows.
Well, that is true.
Not unless they're cooking naked.
Exactly. Who's going to watch that?
I'm not.
So they made money off the back of sex workers, and they want to go corporate America.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
If I want to watch a cooking show, I'll just go on TikTok.
Exactly. TikTok forget Food Network. Go to TikTok. They got the best 8 seconds, 10 seconds cooking shows you can find.
Ain't that the truth?
Mm-hmm. But you know what I am kind of wondering about in the grand scheme of all of this happening? So
what?
Say, okay, sex workers, people who are doing that kind of thing that are on TikTok. One, where are they going to go? Is somebody going to create another website for them to do their own thing? And then the other thing where they said there can only be certain kinds of nudity or certain kinds of sexual content. What is that? And then on top of that, what about the people who are doing sex education that every time they post a video on any other platform, it gets flagged and taken down?
Yes.
Exactly.
Because that's important.
It is very important. And, I personally, I have a pretty big following on TikTok, and I do it educational sexual content for 18 and over, but it's educational. And where is someone to go like myself that educates? because it's an important, valuable platform, and you hear constantly that the work that we're doing is valuable.
Yeah.
So it goes right back to censorship.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why, Brown Sugar Confessions, I feel is so important, because, we talk about human sexuality and relationships in a fun and educational way, so that everyone, 18 and over, we always say that 18 and over has a place to come and view, and even come to our YouTube page, so that they can get really good information about sexual education. I mean, it just comes back to putting us in the dark ages. And who is governing all this stuff? I wouldn't say crap, but who's governing all this crap? Government.
I'm going to say Republicans, because Republicans love censoring sex ed.
Yeah.
Exactly. Putting women right back in the Middle Ages, right? Putting us right back to the Middle Ages, not wanting us to enjoy, not wanting us to protect our bodies, and just censoring who we can be as sexual beings. So, if you're listening to this, write your congressperson, write your governor, and let's take a stand, because, we are sick and tired of being censored and being told what we can and cannot do, or regrowing our own bodies and being educated for pleasure. When does this stop?
Yeah.
So yeah, call your congressman, tell them Brown Sugar Confessions sent you, daggone it.
They're gonna be like, who is this Brown Sugar Confession? What are you talking about?
Yeah, they're gonna. Oh, that's what I say. And so actually, Jenny, did you do the hashtag for this week yet?
Not yet.
No, what should it be?
I don't know, Jenny, but it's gotta be something with Brown Sugar Confessions and congressman. You're good at that hashtag and stuff, but we gotta have something like that to get people motivated to make calls to say, we want education for human sexuality. We want it now. We want it for the future, and we want to have we want to stop censorship around sex education, and for those that are working in the sex industry. I think it's time, and we should make that stand.
Absolutely.
I come back from Las Vegas fired up.
You ready to go? She's ready to start a movement. She comes back ready to start a movement. Yes.
I come back jet lag and ready to the movement. So don't hold it against me.
We got you at the right time. That's what we needed. That's what we needed to hear.
Exactly.
Yes, absolutely. So Jenny, come up with a cute little hashtag there. So if you're out there listening and watching us on YouTube and our Patreon, you know what you got to do is use this hashtag to write. Use this hashtag, contact your congressman and say that we want education. We deserve, our children deserve, our grandchildren deserve, at this point in our lives, sexual education and freedom to be sexual beings. Stop getting in our pants, U.S. government. Hey,
I got it.
Hashtag.
Hashtag
What?
get out of our pants.
Get out of our pants.
Hashtag get out of our pants.
Hashtag get out of our pants. I like it.
I love it. I love it.
But I mean, the way the government is like, we're going to be in skirts. So maybe we need to get out of our skirts. No, definitely get out of our pants, because they have pockets.
Exactly. Get out of our pants. That's the hashtag. So if you're listening to this, hashtag get out of our pants, contact your congressperson and tell them that we deserve, our children deserve sex education. Stop censoring sex. It's a human physical function that should be celebrated and educated upon, not hidden because you're afraid of it. It's time.
It's time.
Maybe I had too much alcohol on the drink. I don't know. That's right. I don't know.
Well, on that note, we're going to go ahead and pay some bills. So everybody get your drinks, get reloaded up. Remember, you can catch us on Brown Sugar Confessions on any of our social media handles. Don't forget, you can always catch this conversation live on Power 1017. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. We got to pay some bills, so don't go too far.
Hi, this is Jenny C. back with Brown Sugar Confessions on 1017. We're so excited. Okay, so Katie's got something she's got to talk about right now.
So
Tell us.
I kind of gallop around the internets a little bit, and I find myself from time to time hanging in the Manosphere.
Hold up. What is the Manosphere? Like, I understand the hydrosphere, the lithosphere, the biosphere. What is the Manosphere?
All right. Well,
Right? What is that?
well, to me, I consider it like one of the 7 pits of HE double hockey sticks. But it's actually like a whole lot of like vlogs and blogs and websites and things like that that's kind of centered around like men's feelings. So they're like it's a group of men that are trying to bring back like what they consider to be masculinity, alpha males, and like men's rights. And they have a specific thing called MGTOW, and that's men going their own way. And these are men that believe that they need to basically get away from women for the most part. I don't know where they're going to go. I mean, that begs a really different question, but whatever. They believe
DFI.
that it's necessary to step away from women to put us back in our places. Basically, if they remove themselves from women, and women will have no choice but to go back to traditional values.
So what is that called again? What are they calling it?
MGTOW, which stands for Men Going Their Own Way. Another part of that group is incest and guys that call themselves pickup artists. It's really interesting, but all of that's part of the Manosphere. And Manosphere is kind of a whole big thing that like has men of all different cultures, races, creeds, whatever. But then there's a separate segment that just exists around Black men, and that's kind of the Manosphere that I've been hanging around with.
What's a pickup
Are
artist?
these groups or clubs, or what is that? Is it
There's men that do YouTube videos. There are Facebook groups. There's Reddit groups. They're all over the place. Pretty much any platform you can use, they use. And they have terminology, they have hashtags and everything that kind of signals to one another that they are on this mindset. And you can now start finding these mindsets, these things in pretty much all over the internet now. Like you can listen to basketball, people talk about basketball, and you'll start hearing some of the terminology from the Manosphere incorporated into some of the most ridiculous things that you just wouldn't expect it to be in.
But
wow.
What is traditional values for a woman? What is that? Just give me a quick thing.
Get in the kitchen and make me a sandwich.
Ew.
Yeah.
What kind of sandwich? A knuckle sandwich? I got that. I got a 2-piece for you.
So have they defined what these typical roles are for women, or
they
have to make it as you go along?
They are making it as they go along, and I think that's one of the things I'm going to get into is the fact that they're kind of all over the place, and they're living in a reality outside of the real one, because some of the things they're asking for doesn't actually work in the confines of what we currently have going on in our worlds. You know what I mean? So, for example, one of the things that I ran into recently that really just was quite astonishing. I don't even remember how the conversation came up, but there was this discussion around feelings and sharing your feelings with your significant other. And I was floored when there was an entire thread with hundreds of men that all agreed that men should never, under any circumstances, share their feelings or vulnerabilities with their wife or partner.
Wow.
Ever. And
Never.
Not even just like, okay, because we all know that men have a tendency to not know how to express themselves, to not really express their feelings. Like, we understand this about men. But they were all in agreement that the only person you should ever share your feelings, vulnerabilities with is another man, and that your wife should never get access to that because they will abuse it and take advantage of it and use it against you one day.
But isn't that considered a homosexual relationship?
Well, I would think, but and I have no problem with that. If that's what you do, that's fine. I kind of encourage it. Please do. But these are people who definitely are very, very, very homophobic generally. So this is not how they typically tend to, swing. So it's really fascinating to me that these are men that are really so many men. So I have a question for you. Do men in your life open up to you? Because my head hurts now. I really can't believe that there's so many men in agreement that under no conditions they should be sharing their feelings and emotions. What do you guys say?
I'm so confused.
Yeah.
So you won't share with your partner, you will share your body, but you won't share your heart. Then what are you? That's not your partner.
Exactly.
You'll share it with a person that is outside of your relationship. Is that not cheating in some sort of fashion? For me, it is.
That.
If you can't tell me what's in your heart, what are we doing? And none of my partners have ever been afraid to tell me what's going on with them. And I personally pride myself in being able to have open lines of communication, and they need a hug, they need affirmation, they need whatever that's there. This is so weird. I don't even think that they know what they want. They're so lost in He-Man cartoons and trying to be buff like anybody in the Fast and the Furious and doing it for the fam or whatever. Like, I just don't even think that they know who they are and what they really want. They're going off all these fake movies and fake people living these fake Instagram lives.
Mm-hmm.
I can see that.
I gotta speak on the fact that our men are been raised in very toxic masculinity, plus the fact that no one's addressing trauma for them from their youth. And so they don't know. It's been years of me going through therapy and getting my husband to go through therapy to talk about how there are parts of him that are still traumatized and still stuck in the past. And a lot of times he'll be mean to me because not that his adult part is being mean to me, but he'll get triggered and then he'll disappear. And then his little asshole 13-year-old boy in him will come out and attack me. And then the 13-year-old me will be like, we'll go back and forth when really we're two full-grown adults who have been together in this long-lasting relationship. But if you don't do that therapy and have someone who can help bring that part to feel safety, those are scary relationships, you guys. It's absolutely true. They won't trust you to talk. Sometimes they don't talk at all. Forget about them talking to other people. They're not even talking about why they're not talking about their feelings.
Right, that's a good point, Jenny C. Now,
Yeah.
I think that these men that choose to have emotional affairs with other men and not their partners, because that's what they're doing. They're choosing to have emotional affairs with other people, with other men, and not with their partners. They're in a heterosexual relationship. It sounds like they're based on fear. What are they afraid of?
Mm-hmm.
It takes a very strong, powerful man to be able to open up and share his most intimate, deepest secrets and feelings. And, I'm very blessed to have a husband that does that with me. He will open up and go there with me emotionally. And you know what? I treasure it. And I acknowledge that it's not typical for a man to do that. I acknowledge it because men do want to hold on to it. And when he chooses to go there and express and really peel back all those layers and share, I hold him. I treasure that moment. And because I love him so much, I would not even think about using it as a weapon against him. So not only it's like they're having an emotional affair with another man, they also have the trust issues in their relationship. So it really falls back on that man. It's how can you expect to have real depth if you're keeping away the most tenderest thing, your heart? As Tracy said, how can you even expect to have a real relationship? It's like they have some really deep-seated trust issues to me. very deep-seated trust issues. And it's dangerous in a relationship if you don't have full trust.
Very much so. And even if we're looking at the old He-Man, even Skeletor had a bad day and he talked to somebody, Evelyn, the man beast, whatever that dude's name was, he was talking to somebody. When Skeletor was having a bad day, everybody had a bad day, but at least they knew what was up. And the same thing with Prince Adam. When he had a bad day, who did he talk to? Man of Wars, Tila, Battle Cat, whatever his name was when he wasn't Battle Cat. But the thing I feel also is like, why are you in a relationship if you can't trust the woman you're with? If you can't trust your partner, you don't need to be in a relationship at all.
Yeah.
And at that point, if you realize you are having trust issues, 1, don't be in a relationship. 2, get help to figure out why you can't trust anybody, because when we're living in a world where we have to have partnerships, you have to be able to trust, whether that is your family, your friends, your partner, heck, even a person you sleep with on Friday nights. You got to be able to trust somebody. If you're having a bad day, they have to know about it. So if nothing else, if you are listening and you are a person who identifies as male, get help.
Therapy.
Get help, get some therapy. If you are a person who feels like you can't trust your partner, get out of that relationship and then go get help. But until then,
absolutely,
it is what it is. Write to us if you feel like you need some help, or if you feel like you gotta be able to, get it out. We can help you, or we can try to point you in the directions of somebody who can help you, Dr. Val. And feel free to email us at brownsugarconfessions@gmail.com.
Exactly. And if you go to send me an email at Valerie@swancenter.com, I'm there for you to talk about your relationships. And if you're having intimacy problems, that's what this show is about. It's not just for, it's for all genders. So if you're having issues, if you're having concerns, make sure you reach out to me directly. And, I'm not saying I know it all or I can do it all, but I have a huge network that I can refer you to. And that's what we're about, to give you resources. Because that issue for me, Katie, it really comes to trust issues. You're not willing to bare your heart to your love center because you're afraid they're going to use it against you. Boyfriend, that's just not but trust. You can call it whatever, Manosphere, Manscape, man, whatever. You got trust issues.
Absolutely. Okay, so one of the other subjects that I find to be consistent in the manosphere is this table. What do Black women bring to the table? It's very fascinating that these gentlemen, these men are very worried about what women are capable of doing, not capable of doing. Do they have children? Do they not have children? Can they cook? Can they not cook? Are they providing sex all the time? Are they well educated? Do they have money? Do they not have money? Do they have, a man on child support? But they're never talking about their own things that they're bringing to the table. Meanwhile, we're a lot of times in situations, we are birthing, we are taking care of them, we are taking care of the household, we're taking care of the children, we're the main educators, we are the ones running the errands, we're the darn secretary, we hold jobs, we're taking care of parents, our parents, their parents, yet they want to know what we bring to the table. I mean, we're already built the table, yet we're still having to bring something else to the table. We need to be gorgeous, we need to be thin, we need to be fit, we need to be without children, we need to be able to have children, we need to be able to be young enough to be a treasure to them so they can show us off, but we can't be too old. Like, it's just so much expectations, and men that don't even have as much as a house to put us in has these expectations that every woman is supposed to come so perfectly packaged that look, I don't understand this, y'all. What do you bring to the table?
But then also, it's not just Black women that have this issue, but I feel like Black women get picked out of the group more. Like all these expectations are also put on Asians and Hispanic, Latino women and white women. But I feel like, and if out there in TV and radio and YouTube land, you can probably say if it is different or not, to say it in the comments. But it seems like Black women tend to get pulled out of that group the most, if that makes sense.
Fair enough.
Explain that. What do you mean by that? They get pulled out. What do you mean by that?
Like we get identified more as, what do you bring to the table? Like, when is the last time, say for example, like, okay, Black men are always asking it, at least to my knowledge, and I'm not going to say always asking, I know I've been asked that as a Black woman by other Black men, but I have not had any relationship with anybody outside of my race. So Miss KD, Miss Tracy, Miss Jenny might be able to say different on what they've been asked. What do they bring to the table?
I have been asked that, but never by a potential partner. I've honestly always been very particular. I like nerds. I like people like me. So I've never really been with guys that are that rude, at least not on any long-term level, no long-term relationship level. But I have had conversations with men that'll ask that stupid question of, so what do you think you bring to the table? I am the table. I'm the table. I'm the house. I'm the everything. I am the goddess. You should be worshiping at my feet. So
Hey.
To even ask me that question and to top it off, I know I'm a charm. That's one of the things I tell men all the time. If as long as you treat me well, I tend to bless your life. The second you start doing bad things to me, your life falls into shambles. And I can point to each and every single person that has done me wrong and show where their life fell apart the second they crossed me. So what do I bring? I bring excellence. I bring a higher quality to your life. Some of it is just through the knowledge that I have that I'm willing to share, but some of it is just, it's just that aura around me. So it's
Yes.
Look,
I love it.
That question.
Talk to me nice or don't talk to me at all.
Exactly.
I have never been asked that question by a potential partner. I have been on a double date with a friend, and the Black guy she was dating asked her, what do you bring to the table? And I didn't understand the question because I had never heard it. And I was like, we're at a restaurant. She doesn't bring anything to the table. What are you talking about? And he was just like, your job and this and that. Meanwhile, we're both in the military. I'm lower ranking than she is. She's higher ranking. And he's just like, well, I have my own truck. And I'm like, that's it? You said all that to say you got your own truck? I mean, is it new? Is it old? Like, that's all you have. So you did that to do this. Like, it made no sense to me. And I think if I ever got asked, what do I bring to the table? I would just sweep everything off the table and maybe break the table. I think that's what I would probably do. I say, now you don't have no table. Now you have nothing.
Now you don't have no table.
You're welcome.
I personally have never been asked that question by any man that I've ever dated. And if I was asked that question, I would be highly offended. I'm on KD's level. I had a little sign that I had in my bathroom for many, many years. It was written in red ink that I kept for years. I lived in the Middle East. And it said, I am the total package. Period. Exclamation mark. That is what I bring to the table. And if you can't recognize that, then, I need to get up from your table and go to somebody else's table. Because what you got on the menu, I'm not eating, so bye. Get out of here. What about you, Jenny C?
Oh, guys, we could have a whole nother talk about the indoctrination of the Asian child, especially if she's female, and how she's going to be the table for the entire family, because that's your entire worth that you're seen as, valued as. But I will say, when I first started dating my white presenting Jewish husband, very first few weeks we got into a fight because he asked me, "You're not Jewish. How do I present it to my parents?" And I said, "I could learn all about Judaism. What are we going to do about the fact that you're not Taiwanese? Like, you're white presenting. How am I going to present you to my parents?"
I like that response. I like that.
I like that.
So yeah, I mean, it's I do want to bring in what just popped into my head over and over is the fact that colorism is in every single layer of everything we're talking about.
Tell it.
All right.
Tell it,
So
that's
like
it,
I want to
yeah.
know, KD, like are they in those groups, in those manospheres? I'm not allowed, we're on radio to use other words, but you know, are they really basing it because they're so unaware of the colorism in their expectations?
Wow, you just said a whole mouthful. That is, I feel like that is at the center of all of this, because I'll tell you real quick, that if you have someone, even it's levels to this, to the colorism, because first you have the fact that you have people who look like me versus people who are still Black but are lighter skinned, hair texture, all of these things come into play. So people who have a certain look, all of a sudden what they bring to the table don't matter so much. People ain't asking them that question because they're just coming with a color that is considered to be acceptable. As a dark-skinned Black woman, our expectations is that we're supposed to be mules. We're supposed to be workers. And if we're not physically working, then we need to have some sort of value, some intrinsic value that they can find and point to that's tangible. And the fact is that they don't look at our beauty as enough. So we have to bring something else. That's why we're constantly being asked, you know, what's at the table? And those same men will then point to people of other cultures, other races, and say, "Oh wow, well these people, they're such great women. Yeah, I'm going to get me with a Puerto Rican woman. I'm going to get me, yeah, because they treat us differently." I watch them; they cuss them out just as much as we do, you know. But because they have
not
what
more.
they consider to be valuable, which is, you know, a closer to the white standard of beauty look, they don't care. They can bypass all that stuff. So absolutely, I think colorism is a huge factor in all of this.
Thank you for bringing
So
that
if
up.
you're
Jenny.
listening, yeah, that's a really great point, Jenny. And so I wanted to add and piggyback on what Jenny said. You know, if you're listening, and if you're listening, I know you're listening, to Power 1017, send an email. Guys, if you're listening, male presenting. You know, if you're in this what's it called? Manosphere?
Manosphere.
Manosphere. If you're in a Manosphere tribe, like send us an email because we want to read it. We don't have time tonight, but next week we want to read it on the air if you're a part of this Manosphere tribe. And like, what are your values, attitudes, and beliefs around women? Is it colorism? Are you expecting women to go back to the 1940s and 50s? What is your values, attitudes, and beliefs around women in your manosphere world? I think that's absolutely fascinating. I had no idea that it existed. And send that email to brownsugarconfession@gmail.com because that subject, I want to continue that because that's quite fascinating. Who knew? I'm learning something today, y'all.
All right, excellent. And looks like that is time for us on this episode here of Brown Sugar Confessions. Remember, you can always catch us on our social media. All handles are Brown Sugar Confessions. Please hit us up, come by, say hi, sign up for Patreon. We got loads of us just being silly and being a little more real than we can be, or else the FCC will fine us a ton of money. So you can always just travel over to Patreon and come check us out, Brown Sugar Confessions. And also don't forget, if you want to catch us live, we are here at Power 1017. We're also on YouTube. Don't forget, if you have any questions or there's something you want Dr. Val to answer specifically, you can hit her up at brownsugarconfessions@gmail.com. Until next time, it's Miss KD, Miss Tracy, Miss Jenny, Dr. Val, and me, Miss T, and we will see you next time. Have a great night, everybody.